Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Africa News with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, an eye for an eye warns Gambia's irate leader as he vows to hunt down everyone involved in last week's failed coup attempt. Dissidents from the diaspora slam the United States for charging two men over the bid to oust Yahya Jammeh. Also, Congo Brazzaville's leaders hoping to change the constitution to extend his mandate, and it gets a boost after his party votes in favour. Denis Sassou Nguesso hopes to succeed where Burkina Faso's Blaise Compaoré didn't. And when it comes to West African cuisine, jollof rice is a big deal. UK chef Jamie Oliver's twist on the staple has not gone down well with some die-hard traditionalist foodies. We take a closer look. First up, this time it is an eye for an eye. That's the ominous warning from Gambia's president. Yahya Jammeh's vowed to find and get rid of everyone involved in last week's failed coup in Banjul. In Gambia, dozens have been arrested since a group of armed men attacked the presidential palace last Tuesday. Some were killed as the presidential guard fought them back. In the US, meanwhile, two men have been charged with conspiring to overthrow a foreign government. US Gambian dual national Papa Fall and US resident Cherno Njie were arrested after returning from the coup in West Africa. Pasamba Jao is a Gambian activist living in the United States. He joins us now. Pasamba, thanks for speaking to us. Now, you believe Fall and Njie are liberators, but they didn't liberate anyone. They got their supporters killed. Was the risk worth taking, in your opinion?
Yes, indeed. Because if you understand the condition of the Gambians for over 20 years, we've been denied all opportunities to legally change our manner of government, while the Gambian people continue to be under subjugation and harassment and oppression. And these people who have nothing to lose but their lives sacrificed their jobs, their families, to go and try to salvage our condition, because there is total hopelessness in terms of democracy and human rights in the Gambia, thus leading people to resort to what President Kennedy said, that those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. So it is unfortunate that people will have to take arms, but we believe that we Gambians have been left with no other choice or option but to try to take this man out and bring back sanity back to the country.
Well, we heard President Jammeh saying that from now on, it's going to be an eye for an eye. Surely this coup attempt has just made things worse for dissidents who are still in the Gambia.
Yeah, well, it's been an eye for Jammeh, one way though, because since he came to power, all he has done is kill Gambian people. Since he came to power, all he has done is abrogate the rights of the Gambian people. So there is nothing new that Jammeh is going to do that is different from what he has done before. Now, what has happened though, unfortunately, is the actions of the United States government has emboldened him, because by this ridiculous, these Gambians, what is pretty much shows is that they're standing with tyranny instead of standing with the oppressed people of the Gambia.
So why did Njie and Fall, who are a part of a group of people, many of whom lived away from the Gambia for decades, why did they feel that it was up to them to travel back to the Gambia to attempt to tackle this problem in such a violent way?
Well, as Dr. King said, that there comes a time in a man's life when silence means betrayal. These people, who we believe are liberators and patriotic Gambians, saw that they could not sit in the comfort of their apartments or houses here in the United States. Fall was a member of the U.S. Army, and he could not, I don't think his conscience gave him to sit and start defending democracy and human rights around the world, while his own people were being harassed, were being killed in that country. So I think they had no other recourse to change the manner of their government, or at least to change the course of events in the Gambia where Gambian rights are respected, that they resorted to what is alleged that they resorted.
Now, they didn't obviously succeed, but the Gambian diaspora there's a Gambian, quite a large Gambian diaspora of activists. What are they going to do off the back of that? What's the next move?
Well, we'll lick our wounds. We'll continue fighting because at the end of the day, what we want is democracy back in that country. Now, we are not going to be, because we are not criminals. We are not. Most of the people that were allegedly part of these are outstanding citizens. Mr. Njai is a very successful businessman in the United States. He doesn't need a salary in the Gambia. But you know, these are the things. So we'll continue to educate the international community, and we hope that countries like the United States, instead of trying to prove to Yahya Jammeh, who is a renowned tyrant, that they are not part of a supposed coup by arresting people, that for once they would stand up to Jammeh. Because as we speak, 2 American citizens, Alhaji Mahmoud Sise and Ibu Diop, are kidnapped by Yahya Jammeh. So this notion that, oh, the Neutrality Act, you know, the Gambia, we are at peace with the Gambia. I cannot come to your house, kidnap your children, and then claim that we are at peace. And this is what is happening.
Basamba?
Yes.
Basamba, thank you very much for joining us. I thought we're going to have to leave it there. Basamba Jal, they're speaking to us from the US on the coup in the Gambia last Tuesday and President Yahya Jammeh's most recent reactions to that. Well, in other news, in the already tense run-up to presidential elections later this year, Burundian gunmen have executed 3 activists from the ruling party. 5 shooters dressed in military fatigues burst into a bar in the Gisuru region, tied their victims up and shot them dead. They then set a nearby office of the CNDD-FDD party of President Pierre Nkurunziza on fire. This follows last week's heavy clashes between the army and rebels they accuse of trying to destabilize the country ahead of polls due in May. The spokesperson for Mozambique's main opposition party has been arrested for demonstrating against the result of last year's election. Renamo's Antonia Mushanga's accused of inciting violence after countrywide protests were held over the weekend. Now, they followed court confirmation last week that the ruling Frelimo party were the victors of October's presidential and legislative polls. Relations between Renamo and Frelimo are tense. They fought a 16-year civil war that ended with a peace deal in 1992. And one of Libya's 2 rival governments has banned Sudanese, Palestinian and Syrian nationals, saying that their countries were undermining Libya's security. The official government of Prime Minister Abdullah Al-Thani has been internationally recognized, but will only be able to enforce the ban at some airports. This because its rule is limited to the east, as a separate cabinet fighters has seized Tripoli. Fierce battling continues meanwhile. On Tuesday, air strikes were launched on Misrata in the west, and Turkish Airlines, the only foreign airline operating in Libya, has announced it's suspending flights to the city amidst the worsening security situation. Well, in Burkina Faso, President Blaise Compaore's attempts to change the rules to allow him to run again sparked a revolution and his downfall last October. That hasn't put off Congo Brazzaville's leader from similarly trying to turn the constitution to his own ends. Nicolas Chemin has more.
The hashtag Ça suffit, or That's Enough, is a pun in French on the name of Congo Brazzaville's Denis Sassou Nguesso. His opponents are using it increasingly on social networks. Sassou has been in power for more than 30 years. His party has just voted in favour of a change in the constitution, which would mean he could run again next year.
We invite the Political Bureau to continue its talks with other political forces and civil society so that we can find a consensus on the reform of our institutions.
The current constitution imposes a 2-term limit and says candidates must be under 70. Denis Sassou Nguesso, who's 71, strongly approved his party's decision.
I am happy that regarding this issue, a healthy and responsible debate has taken place.
Sassou was installed as president by the military in 1979. He only stepped down in 1992 after he lost the country's first multi-party elections. He returned to power in 1997 after a civil war. Since then, he has won 2 elections that were contested by the opposition. It believes he has no intention of relinquishing power after next year's poll.
Now, UK celebrity chef Jamie Oliver has been stirring up trouble amongst die-hard fans of traditional West African food. And some circles, I have it on good authority that Ghanaians and Nigerians stay up late into the night debating who can lay claim to the creation of Jollof rice. And they're certainly not going to let a Brit like Oliver go messing about with what is, let's face it, a pretty big deal. Mary Colin Bell has more. Take a look.
Top UK TV chef Jamie Oliver's known for his taste for the exotic and encourages British audiences to shake things up in their own kitchens. But his version of the West African staple, Jollof rice, is not to the taste of some Nigerian foodies.
And we had to make Jollof rice the Nigerian way. All right, I'm sure a lot of us, read and saw what Jamie Oliver made. So I'm here to make my own Nigerian Jollof rice in my beautiful small kitchen. So we have all the ingredients here. I have my stock cubes and most importantly, pepper.
Oliver's twist on the recipe did away with the all-important Maggi stock cube and included radical ingredients like cherry tomatoes, coriander and lemon. Critical traditionalists say it's inauthentic and dubbed the scandal Jollof Gate. Necker, though, is more forgiving.
His version was his version, and our version would remain our version. So for Jamie Oliver, I would say he just wanted to be creative.
For others, Jollof a la Jamie stirs up bitter memories of Africa's colonial past.
It was like denting our own image and stealing our identity from us. And Africans had to stand up and tell him, this isn't right, this isn't the best way to do it. You should have made your research. You should have consulted us to tell you the right way to go about it.
Either way, the controversies got more people talking about West Africans' pride in their culinary culture. Food bloggers from the continent hope that could mean traditional dishes and their twists may end up on more menus worldwide.
I'll take a plate of either, if I'm honest. Well, that does, though, wrap up African news. Stay with us, a short break and more coming up.